Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Commissioner Chronicles on the DLF YouTube channel. I am Nathan Powell. This is my Commissioner series where I go over some Commissioner advice, Commissioner settings for Dynasty Fantasy Football leagues, and how you can navigate your way as a Commissioner a little bit better. So, if you like videos like this and other great Dynasty content, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the DLF YouTube channel. It really helps us out and we appreciate it. So today we're going to be going over how to make large league changes. My first bit of advice, if someone's like, hey, I'm about to make this huge change in my league, whether it's because there's a vote from a majority, a unanimous, or just the commissioner making it, a decision like, hey, this is what we're going to be going to do moving forward. No matter which one of those you're doing, it is important to communicate the why. No matter what the league change is, whether it is scoring, lineups, rosters, teams, buy-in, anything like that, you have to communicate the why. So like if you're going from a one quarterback to a super flex, communicate the why by saying, hey, everyone is tired of this one QB thing. These quarterbacks aren't worth anything. We really want those quarterbacks to mean more, and Superflex is the way to do that. Once you've communicated the why, the bumps in the road. It's like, hey, there's going to be some unfair advantage. This team has better QBs. This team has worse QBs. It's what is going to be the best for the league moving forward. And then you can talk about possible solutions in order to bridge that gap of this team got this advantage, this team got this disadvantage. No matter what big league change you make, whether it is, adding to the PPR scoring or deducting from the QB scoring, you do have to understand when you're making these big league changes that everyone is impacted, and some people are impacted positively, some people are impacted negatively, and that is going to impact how they view these league changes and how they might, react in terms of being frustrated, being excited, whatever it may be. You have to, look into that as you are making that league change, that it's going to impact how your league functions moving forward. In terms of the bigger league changes, things that I would consider huge, giant league changes would be if you're adding or decreasing from 0.5 PPR or more. So if you're going from a 0.5 PPR to a 1 PPR, 1 PPR, 0.5 PPR, I think that's a rather large league change. One quarterback to super flex, one tight end to two tight end. All those things are things that drastically impact the structure of your team. And so I use the Scott Fish and Ryan McDowell suggestion of 2 recommended draft cycles for those type of changes. So if you're making the change in March of 2022, that means that it wouldn't take place into the league until September of 2023. So you have the rookie drafts in the 2022 offseason, rookie drafts in 2023 offseason, and then at the beginning of the 2023 season, that's when the change is impacted. So people have essentially a year and a half to 2 years of figuring out, okay, these are the trades I want to make for this big change. These are the rookie picks that I want to select based on, and you're weighing, if you have a 2022 pick, like it's like, okay, am I drafting based on this 2022 format or what it's going to be in 2023 and beyond? So using that 2 recommended draft cycles is the way to go in terms of bigger league changes. Now, there are smaller league changes that it's not as necessary to impact those type of things. I would say if you're changing things by 0.25 PPR or less, or adding like a slight points per carry option or a points per target option, those are things that I don't think are overwhelmingly impacting your league and aren't necessary. Like they might making your league slightly better based on what your league is looking for. I don't think it's earth shattering. Nothing is going to happen where it's like some team was great and then it's all of a sudden not nearly as good because of this slight change in scoring. Lineups, I would consider something similar, that if you're adding one flex, it's probably not a huge deal, but adding an additional running back or additional wide receiver or basically additional concrete position is a whole lot different than adding additional flex. Or of course, if you're adding an additional super flex, so if you're already at one super flex and you're adding a second, or if you're at one QB and adding a super flex, those are bigger decisions. So you kind of have to weigh, how big is the decision and whether you want to wait on that decision to be made in order to give that, buffer time. And so in terms of like trying to keep the status quo in a league or keep, all the managers happy, which is impossible to do. I would recommend the larger the league change, the more, further out you look at that option. Another one would be, roster constrictions. I think at times, and there might be, from a, commission bias perspective, sometimes when commission might have a decent team, like, oh, I really wish I didn't have to cut down from 30 to 24 here, like, hey, maybe I should propose that we go to a 28 roster spot. That is something that if you're increasing roster spots by 1 or 2, probably not the biggest deal. Like obviously you want it as further away from August as possible, that everyone knows, okay, I'm going to have this many roster spots. But the more you increase roster spots, the further out you want to push that decision, or even increase over time. So let's say you're at 24 roster spots and you want to get to 28. You can say, oh, okay, well, in 2022 we're going to go from 24 to 26, and in 2022 to 2023 we're going to go from 26 to 28. So making that gradual change is not necessarily a bad thing. And then another large league change that I think that you have to look at is buy-in. So sometimes people want to increase buy-ins, decrease buy-ins. That one is one that I would require a unanimous vote. I don't ever want someone to leave a league because an increase in buy-in or a decrease in buy-in really impacts their want to be in a league. In terms of a buy-in thing, that is a large league change, but that is something that you can do immediately, because in order for you to really be doing it, in my opinion, you should have that 100% approval. Everyone should be on board with increasing or decreasing the buy-in. The biggest part of doing a big league change, whether it's scoring, lineups, rosters, teams, or buy-in, is you have to communicate the why. Why are we doing this? And then explain, okay, this is what could be a problem. Obviously, buy-in's a little bit different, but all those other things, like, okay, that some teams are going to be disadvantaged because of this, some teams are going to have an advantage because they're deeper. So when we increase the roster spots, it's going to be more of an advantage to them initially. And then the rebuilding teams should be able to use those extra roster spots to be able to build their team. So if you have any questions about making a big league change, if you've ever made a big league change, make sure to leave a comment on the YouTube channel, and I will, read it and maybe comment back. And yeah, if you have any advice for people who are implementing those big league changes, how to do it and why, when and where, make sure to leave that comment, and we'll talk to you guys next time.